Thank you. Hello. Assalamu alaikum. Let's start the program with reciting Al-Fatiha. Please join me. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Malik Yawmiddin. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. Well, today's topic is compassion. It's a broad subject. I have tried to concise it as to what does it mean for the world at large, and then also for us Muslims, as to is it a religious obligation to be compassionate, or is just something frivolous that, you feel like it, you become compassionate, and if you don't feel like it, the heck with it. So I'd like to explore those themes with you. But I'm going to show compassion this morning and thank two people, Adnan Saleh and Ahmed Qadri. These are the two unsung heroes which make this possible for us to have the slides and the connections and the electronics. And when something doesn't go right, we are angry and we are upset about it. Where is Ahmed? Did he leave? Okay.
Falah with an F. I'm sorry. And the four it's hard to.
S-E-L.
F. Adnan Falah.
I apologize. I'm so sorry. S-E-L-A-F.
Like Frank.
F-E-L-A-H.
Everybody's talking and I'm not getting it.
F-E-L-A-H.
F-E-L-A-H. Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, no, it's not. Is that
Two L's.
two L's? I'm gonna give you just one more L, and that's the end of it. Okay.
Okay, now you switch the A to the E and E to the A.
Yeah.
Very good. That's it. Good.
You sure?
Yes.
So I want to thank these two gentlemen who have been taking care of our electronic needs in the center for a long time. And as I said, some people get upset when the connections are not good or whatever. And for those people, I would say that Adnan, you should tell them, well, next time bring your own technician. I mean, that's simple, right? But I do want to thank you and Ahmed, because you guys have done a great job for the center. Ahmed, I want you to see your name. You see it?
Thank you.
Yeah, and I just found out that you have not paid your membership. So I am. Before you came in, I want to thank you and Adnan for the great job you do on an ongoing basis. You people are silent workers, and to me, you are the unsung heroes of this center. Thank you. Thank you so much. So, what is compassion? It comes from the Latin root and really means to suffer with somebody, compassion. Deep awareness of the suffering of another, accompanied by the wish to relieve it. There's one thing to just feel somebody's pain, but there's another thing is to help to relieve that pain. That's where compassion comes in. It motivates people to go out of their way to help the physical, spiritual, or emotional hurts and pains of another. No, compassion could be, when we express compassion, it could be individual or communal or societal. But it is the individual compassion that is the building block of a compassionate society. And I will come to that as to why it's so important for compassion to be part of the charter of the different cities. And there are cities in America as well as around the world who have adopted this charter of be compassionate community. I just tell you offhand that New York is not one of them. New York City is not one of them. Yeah. I will get back to compassion, but I want to introduce a writer, a very well-known, famous writer. You all probably have heard her books. But TED was a concept which was floated with to have noted thinkers who have some great ideas. And the TED, which is Technology, Entertainment, and Design, is called TED Talks. They will provide forum to these people and give them money to propagate their ideas. A nonprofit organization that gives $1 million to exceptional individuals who have brilliant ideas. The money is used to propagate the idea for the benefit of humanity. Now, most of you are familiar with Karen Armstrong. She was a nun, or trained to be a nun. She was in a convent. She dropped out, became a writer, and she became a bestseller writer. Most of her books, not all, related. All of her books are related to religion, and quite a few are about Islam. Now, The History of God is her seminal work. Muhammad, Prophet for Our Times, is the biography of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Jerusalem, Islam, A Brief History. I recently, again, looked at it, and it's, when you have something brief and concise, sometimes it loses the depth because you're shortening everything. But her genius is that when you read her books, whether it is a voluminous volume or a synopsis, she does a good job of bringing the message across. Another book is Great Confrontations. Now, 9/11, as all of us know, that was a threshold event in the history of this country and by implication of the world. As the cliche goes, the world is not the same as it was before 9/11. And since all the hijackers were of Muslim and Arab background, somehow automatically the people associated terrorism with Islam. And that was a common refrain. Terrorism means Islamic terrorism. Karen Armstrong in those days was very active on the radio and on the television. And she was very vocal about Islam is not a violent religion. Prophet Muhammad was not a violent man. Islam is a compassionate religion. This is the message she gave. I don't think you could hire anybody, the Muslim countries or people who have a lot of money, hire anybody to do a better job what she did on her own and without anybody prompting and asking to do that. So this is more credibility for somebody who's not a Muslim, but she has studied religion and she comes out with such statements. Now, Armstrong said that compassion is not a new concept. As I said in the beginning of my remarks, that it is practiced around the world and all religions teach compassion. And now the cities, we are going to bring this concept from individuals to the communities. The cities that make compassion as part of their mission prosper on all indicators. And this is interesting. What does that have to do with one or two or three people or a group of people are compassionate? How would improve the indicators of a city? But that has been proven time and again that has a deep impact, not only economically and socially, but in every sphere of whatever indicators one could measure. Karen Armstrong also said that, as some of you may know, the Dalai Lama, he is the spiritual head of the Tibetan Buddhist who is in exile living in India. And he is the spiritual leader of the Buddhist of India, of Tibet. And the Chinese government will not allow him back. And he'll be living in exile. He's a very spiritual person. And those of you who have heard him cannot be but convinced that this man has a deep thought. As some of you may know, the Dalai Lama has called the Charter for Compassion Cities initiative one of the most important movements in the world today. I mean, that's a big statement, right? A Charter for Compassionate Cities is one of the most important movements in the world today. The Vatican has asked us to give a presentation on the cities initiative. So there are compassionate cities the worldwide, and instead of giving you a long list, I'll just tell you that there are 121 cities around the world. They have not incorporated compassion in their charter just because it makes good press. But there are some elements that they have to implement to make their cities compassionate. In America, we have 10 most caring cities, and one is very close to us, about 45 minutes away, is Ann Arbor, Michigan. And then you can see the other ones, 10. And there are more at this time which are joining. And I must add here, take a pause and add that in Toledo, that Ahmed Kader is very much involved with the Multi-Religious Council. They have been promoting a compassionate city. And I think Toledo did commit to be a compassionate city, Ahmed? Yes. Yeah, that many years ago. So, world religions, Confucianism has that golden rule, which really teaches to be compassionate. Hinduism, non-violence, ahimsa concept, and that is to be compassionate. Buddhist, wisdom and compassion. Judaism, divine call to care for widows and orphans, show compassion. Christianity, love of neighbors, giving alms. And Islam, I'll come to that in a moment. But compassion is not limited, not by any means, to people who believe or belong to one religion. I mean, secular enlightenment, people who don't believe in any religion, can be compassionate, and they are. So it is not a religious phenomenon. It is a human phenomenon. And who were the people? Some of you may agree or may not agree with some names here, but Martin Luther King, Mohandas Gandhi, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, Bacha Khan, not many people in the world know about him, but he was a Pashtun leader from the northwest part of Pakistan. And he was called the Frontier Gandhi. Frontier meaning the northwest part of Pakistan was called the Frontier Province, Frontier Gandhi. Nelson Mandela, Mother Teresa, Abdul Sattar Edhi. I'll come to the Abdul Sattar Edhi just in a moment, in due course. But these and many, many other leaders are considered as compassionate leaders. So I want to differentiate two words, charity and khairat. I don't know, khairat is an Arabic word?
Yeah.
Yeah. The difference between charity, the Christian concept of charity, is that you are being charitable to help somebody. Where I come from, and I cannot speak for all the countries, Muslim countries in the world, khairat means that you throw something to somebody as a favor. And not only as a favor to that person, but also try to get some favor with Allah. That human intervention, the human connection between really genuinely helping somebody and also to have some celestial points in the hereafter. That's the difference. Charity and khairat. Compassion is not khairat. You are not doing something for somebody just to make you feel good. You're doing something to make somebody else feel good. And a bad example will be to throw a piece of meat to a dog. Yeah, you want to feed the dog, but don't try that on human beings. And many people think that zakat is the same thing, that you give something to somebody. And what Islam teaches, if you give something with your right hand, make sure your left hand does not know it. Just think of the concept. If you want to give something to somebody with your right hand, make sure your left hand is unaware of that. That is actual charity. But we have corrupted the word charity. It's very common in my language. If somebody gives something, well, what do you think? You're giving me a khairat? With a sarcastic tone. So let me turn my emphasis to talk about Islam and Quran. Be good to mankind. Share your bounty. Be kind to everyone, irrespective of their faith. It did not say, be kind to every Muslim. Be kind to everyone, irrespective of their faith. Be respectful of others, even if you don't agree with them. I mean, the easiest thing is in disagreement to just stand up and start punching each other. But compassion is to listen to somebody. You don't have to agree. But what the word tahammul is Arabic word, right? Yeah. Listen to somebody with patience. That is to show compassion. I have 3 slides on these, and I have curled some Quranic sayings and some sayings of the Prophet. Charity is incumbent upon every human limb, every day upon which the sun rises. So I'm making charity and compassion as a common concept. Charity is incumbent upon every human limb, every day upon which the sun rises. It is not only to feed somebody for lunch and don't care for the dinner or don't care for next day meal. Charity and compassion has to be an ongoing effort. It is not limited to just one time. And when something becomes an ongoing effort, it becomes part of you. That means it becomes your persona. And that's what imagine in city of Toledo. If there are people, majority of the people who believe in that concept, then this is a compassionate city. To bring about a just conciliation between two contestants is charity. Helping a person mount his animal or help load the animal is charity. If you see a car is stopped at the front of the Islamic Center, and the man or the woman is having difficulty getting out, and the person has somebody else driving, why do we have to wait for the other person to come and help the other person? We can do that, right? That's charity. That's compassion. That's what Islam teaches us. A good and kind word is charity. To clean a path of obstruction is charity. You're going for a walk in the park, and after a storm, and there were a lot of things strewn over the path. Yeah, it is the job of the park personnel to do that. But removing the obstacles is charity, is compassion. Smiling upon the face of people. And that's what one of our imam, not the previous one before that, always used to emphasize, smile, because that's charity. To love children and to respect elders is charity. So, see, the concept is expanding. It's expanding. It is becoming all-encompassing. Story of a man and his lack of compassion towards children. And Imam Nehal, in his last Friday khutbah, mentioned this story, that the man came to Prophet. Prophet had his grandsons, Hassan and Hussein, and he had kissed them. And the man says, I have, 7, 8 children. I have never kissed them. And the Prophet says, those who don't show any compassion will not receive any. I mean, it's a very profound statement. He who has no compassion will receive none. If you plant a tree or sow a field, and man and beast and birds eat from it, it is charity. It is not a believer who eats his fill while his neighbor remains hungry by his side. To share with the neighbor is charity. There is a hadith that when you travel through fertile land, give the camels their share from the land. Actually, you should feed your animal before you feed your own mouth. When you travel through barren land, hasten your pace and help your animals preserve their strength. If you hire someone to do work for you, pay him before his sweat dries. So I have a handyman who has been a good friend of mine for the past about 45 years. He has done a lot of work He never gives me a bill. I have to force him to give me a bill. And one time I told him, I said, Dick, my faith teaches me that pay somebody the wages before their sweat dries. He said, yeah, but the work I did for you, I didn't sweat at all. So I thought it was beautiful the way he just told me. Help those whose faces are question mark, but their tongues are silent. I want to leave this slide. I think it has also a very deep meaning. Some people will not ask you, but when you look at their faces, you can tell that there are a lot of questions on their face. Look at this slide. Can anybody tell me what you see? Anybody? Please speak loud.
Sadness.
What?
They look very sad. One of them looks like he's crying.
Sad, yeah. The husband has his head in his hands, right? As if he doesn't want to show his face. He's crying. The wife is looking at him, and the child is looking totally forlorn, pain, deprivation. Here is a leper. Leprosy is a disease. By the way, it still exists today. We think that it was only in the olden times, the biblical times, when it was considered something. They used to have, during the biblical times, they used to send them out of the city, and they lived in caves. It's a bacterial disease which is very slow and insidious, and it destroys the body parts. This woman has lost her hand and the digits, and look at her nose. That's very typical of. And 2 children, yeah. A lot of people will turn their face and walk away. Now, the compassion asks us, dictate us that we need to notice these people. Many hands, desperate, looking for some people to reassure them. Again, the old concept of compassion. If you judge people, you have no time to love them. This is a famous saying by Mother Teresa. What she did, she picked up dead and dying people from the streets of Calcutta, now it is Kolkata, and took them in her homes. I mean, this was a home for such people. She gave them dignity in the end of life as well as in death. That is compassion. Unmitigated. Doing it spontaneously. And here is another man, my hero. His name was Abdul Sattar Eidi. He died a few years ago, and I wrote an article in his memory. It was published in Post Gazette, Pittsburgh Post Gazette. I think the title was A Meeting with the Angel of Karachi or something like that. This man came from a wealthy trader family who had the concept of helping only their own community. And he departed from that concept. And he says, you have to help the whole humanity without any question of family, a tribe, or creed, or religion. So he started in Karachi. If there were unwanted babies, he had cradles. So you can leave the baby there. This was guaranteed. This baby will be given shelter, food, education. And many well-known names that we know in Pakistan were such babies because of him and his wife. He also started ambulance service. If there was somebody out of town, family came to Karachi to have treatment, and if the person dies, how would they find somebody to bathe the body and to put the shroud, coffin? He and his volunteers provided their service. So there are so many things that he did. He died, and then his life was celebrated. Oh, Messiah of Karachi, that was on August 14, 2016, in Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, this article that I referred to. I had the honor of meeting him and spending about 3-4 hours with him, 5 hours with him in the plane, because there was no way that he could break away from me and go someplace else. So, and he was all too willing to talk. And so during the journey, which started from Pakistan up to New York, we had plenty of time to interact and talk. And I kept notes after my meeting with him. Very simple man, simple clothes, slippers on his feet, and this is how he lived his life. This is, again, the continuation of what Islam teaches. Talk politely to those who are below your station. Think about it. Think about any country in the world, Muslim country, Middle East, Pakistan, Egypt, Afghanistan. If there is somebody above you, you bow to them and worship them. You don't mean that. And anybody who's below you, you look down upon them. This is very common. It's common practice. Talk politely to those who are below your station. A word of kindness to someone down his or her luck. Talk with compassion to children. Here is something which I was taught one time, that when you're talking to a child, the child cannot come up to your eye level. You have to come down to the eye level of the child. Simple, but it means a lot. Talk kindly to the patients and their attendants. Take time to know your neighbors. These are all the basis of what Islam teaches. Before going to bed, let us all take stock of the day and ask, how many acts of compassion did I perform today? And where did I walk away when I should have not? I show you the pictures of that woman and man and a child, right? Or the leper beggar. How many times I have walked away from situations like that? This is a quote by essayist, philosopher, poet, and critic, Henry David Thoreau. It is something to be able to paint a particular picture or to carve a statue, and so to make a few objects beautiful. But it is more glorious to carve and paint the very atmosphere and medium through which we look. to affect the quality of the day, that is the highest of art. Think about to paint the atmosphere, to paint the air. Paint with what? Compassion. My mother was an illiterate woman. The only thing she knew was how to read the Quran. And she gave that gift to 3 generations of children. They used to come to our home after school, and she will teach them with tajweed how to read the Quran. And for an illiterate woman raised in one society, which was really some sort of an apartheid system, because we looked down upon the sweepers and all those things and the servants. We did, yeah. And she had this refrain, which was so beautiful. We are children of the same God. So prayers of a priest is very important, and I apologize for bringing some personal anecdotes, but I think they are meaningful to this conversation. My mother was going to have surgery at St. Charles. This is back in the 90s. And I was sitting with her at night in the evening, and a priest came in and asked if he could pray for her. So I asked her, I says, Padre has come and he wants your permission to pray. And now in my naive mind, I'm thinking that she would say, well, thank him very much. That won't be necessary. Instead, she says, well, of course he should pray. Who knows which one of these prayers will get there? So I always teased her until she died that when the chips were down, she wanted to make sure that she has covered all the bases. But I think this was more her mindset of accepting other people rather than saying, no, 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 it's not necessary. So it is the end of this talk, but not the end of compassion. So may I request all of us to go out and practice compassion. Thank you very much. Yeah, we still have about 20 minutes, and we can have some questions and answers and comments, whatever your heart desires. We have another microphone? Okay. Wa alaikum assalam.
Talking about Islamic way of resolving this issue, by the way, thank you very much for reminding us to look into, which we normally don't remember, to be compassionate. But if you look into the Islamic system, unfortunately, our current countries have not really adopted any of the things that Quran has suggested. First of all, I think the whole system is based upon this small verse that we usually ignore. And Quran says, "Walakat karamna bani Adam." So it gives a very high dignity to the children of Adam. So I think the question arises, if you give Quran, Sadaqah, or even the current Zakat that we understand it, we are taught, I think all this is very demeaning to people, to give money direct to anybody, even within the family. The system should be promulgated from the top. It should be a responsibility of the state.
Say it again. The system should be promulgated
From the top, right? From the government level, because they can create a system where everybody gets money somehow without being, demeaned by people giving them directly. But the sadaqah and the khairat words are there in the Quran, so you cannot ignore why are they there. At the time of Khalifa, the second Khalifa Umar, we had the welfare system in place. So people could get a check directly from the treasury of the government. The Sadaqah and Khairat, which are mentioned in the Quran, that's like a temporary solution to the problem. But once there is the Islamic government in place, like it was in Medina, Sadaqah and Khairat did not exist because people were getting the money from the government, those who couldn't afford, and those who did not have jobs. Surprisingly, the West has picked up the Umar Khattab's concept, and they are just about all the Western countries are now welfare states in one form or another. And some of them may not be adequate, but at least the system is around. We don't even have that concept over there. We are left 1400 years behind whatever was left at the time of prophethood. But we forgot that at one point we had Islamic State and we had welfare state.
How about now?
We don't have that.
No. We are living in the West.
Yeah.
So what should we do here?
Well, if you see somebody poor, obviously, you start common sense is to start and talk to the person and do whatever you can, at least feel his fear is pain, is nothing else. I mean, you don't lose any money by talking to anybody. Put your arm around, if you want to buy him a sandwich, but stop, at least show some humanity.
Yeah.
But beyond that, the welfare system is existent over here. If you want to take the next step, I think you can look into to see if you can help him with the paperwork or whatever else there. Although there are social security people around in the hospitals, in places like that, who can help them. But not to walk away. But coming back to the Islamic State, I think we have not really understood the word zakat properly.
Yeah.
I think we have put the word zakat side by side with khairat and sadaqah.
Yeah.
And I think I have a problem with that, I think zakat has many meanings. One of them is to purify. I think that's what we picked up. And by that, we thought that by that it means that if we make money, 2.5% of that money is given to the people directly, poor people, then our money will be purified. I think that doesn't not look very right to me. I think there are other meanings such as to help people to progress, to attain what they could attain. If you take it into that meaning, then the government should step in. But the citizens should give the money to the government. What that really means is high taxes, just like in Scandinavian countries. In Scandinavian countries, the taxes are all the way up to 80%. And whatever people make, they keep what they need, and what they don't need, taxes, the money which they don't need is given back to the government. And I think that's what the Islamic State should be, and that's what the Quran says. I have interest in this subject. Unfortunately, I don't have time to pursue it, to make a talk out of it. I think it's a very deep subject, and it can be.
Yeah.
It can be.
I have a slot open next Sunday.
I have to retire to be able to do that.
Well, I'm just asking. I mean, some Sunday you should talk to us.
It's on my mind.
Okay.
It's going to take a while.
I don't have much time left.
I hope you do.
So I guess my question is about the statement you had about Mother Teresa, about don't judge people, you're wasting time. So many times, working at the food bank, we're handing out sandwiches to the people. And then on the way home, I get at the exit on Star Avenue, and there's people, usually the same guy, standing at the corner asking for money. That's the same guy every time, So I do judge. I don't stop and give the guy a buck or nothing because I figure, you just get done doing some compassion, you come and you judge. So I have a problem with myself about that, and I really don't know how to resolve that. I don't know if other people have that same issue. I figure, hey, buddy, you look okay, go get a job. You're here every day.
Well, we have all seen that, right? Same people day after day after day. So it's kind of hard to, you can help somebody once, but whatever the reason is, if that is an easy way to have money, then that is not acceptable. Begging, not because you really need it, but because that is an easy way to make a buck. In my view, it is not acceptable.
How do we know?
We don't know that. We know.
You do what you can. Give it to the
So my question is practical question. Do you stop when you see these people at the expressway exit? So you don't. Okay. So you could.
I mean, I'm not practicing Christian either.
No,
Yeah,
no,
I
no.
understand.
Hold on, hold on. You're a practicing Muslim.
No, I'm not. I'm the first one to say.
So what the hell are you doing here?
I follow the rituals, that's all I do.
Okay. Why don't you give them the microphone? And I will stand there. Okay, thank you.
It's a educated suggestion, not from me, but I would like to have from you. When we do some courtesy or help to the Christians, the first criticism comes from our community. They say, well, we should give it to the Muslims first, and why do you help the Christians? Even like they criticize if you go to the Christian friend's funeral, and you should not do this and you should not do that. And Quran is something we recite, but we don't understand what we are reciting as an non-Arabic speaking person. So we can recite the Quran from A to Z and don't know probably more than 40 things, but it was telling us. So how can we deal with our own community when you help someone who is not Muslim, or because you see it's needed and it comes from your heart, and then criticism, no, you can't do this. Or you go to your friend's funeral and just educated, not the religious outline, but what is the educated? Because we are not really religious.
Okay. Okay. Those individuals, there is nothing you can do to change their mind, by the way. As an organization, this organization have never advocated those concepts. Never. Individuals do have those concepts. They don't meet with non-Muslims and don't do this thing and don't help them help your own. And I'm aware of don't go to the funeral. Friendships go beyond religions. I worked for 40 years, and during that time, I developed friendships with people of all faiths. And if one of them has a problem, somebody dies, I don't hesitate to go and visit, whether go to their home or go to the funeral home or even for the funeral. I mean, this is given. I would, as I do, I will ignore those voices because those are minority. Yeah. If there are no other questions, Dr. Jabarin has asked to say a few things. Yeah, we need a microphone.
I've been asked to spend 5 minutes with the audience to see if there are any points of concern or anything you would like to know. I'm currently the president of the ICGP, and we have
Thank you.
I think we are all aware that we currently do not have an imam. And I just want to assure everyone that Imam Ali requested leaving, and the council approved it. And whatever you hear outside, if you want to know the truth, please ask me. I have it all. So he left in good terms, would like to stay in good terms. And our future search is going to take all of that into account. So we need to look for an imam who fulfill the needs of our own community. And this is always a difficult situation to deal with. We had a committee of 13 people who were really qualified to make judgment, 2 PhDs in Islamic studies, many people who served on the council for a long time, community members, young people, somewhat older people. We would like to encourage everyone, if you have interaction with their own relative, with younger people, please ask them to come and participate by giving us their opinion and what they would like to see. I know this experiment started before, but it's not a bad one. And I think we need to continue to encourage young individuals to become engaged more and more with our own activity. And I'm encouraged to see that we have really significant number of youth who are part of the youth program. And I think they all are very, very promising in the sense that they are committed to the religion, they are committed to the community, they are committed to one another. And that is really very important. So I'm here for 5 minutes when I'm again to stand up and try to answer any question, any concern that you have. Yes.
Please tell us briefly what really happened. We don't know.
You-
People ask us, people don't come to the mosque here out of curiosity, or whatever reason they ask us, what's going on? Imams come and imams go. It's not that I don't trust you sincerely. And by the way, I respect you and people saying about the people who have built up this mosque for us. I am, part of this mosque right from the get-go. But, I feel like, when somebody asks me, I should know the answer, but it's some kind of, there is no,
Okay.
openness about, what happened. We don't know it. We still don't know.
Okay. That's a fair question. 'This 13-member committee interviewed various candidates, and Imam Ali Leila was on the top and actually had all the qualification we're looking for. His issue really is somewhat difficult to deal with, and that is he agreed to take the job with the idea that with time he can convince his family to agree to move here. Now, he has four children. The oldest is a girl in college. Then one is senior, one is junior in high school, and one like 11, 12 years old, and a wife, of course. And for some reason, he had difficulty, quote unquote, finding appropriate house in the Pearsburg, Toledo